video, I'm going to be going through how to use Pixlr.com to create design layouts for fashion and textiles. So these are to showcase your textile designs and your fashion ideas, or it could be interiors as well. And as designers, it's really important the way that we present our designs to potential clients, or if you're studying, it's important that you think about the presentation of your design boards for your submissions. I've just got a few examples from my own portfolio to go through with you to start with, just so you can kind of get an idea of how I like to approach presentation within my portfolio. So this example here is of a fashion print mini project that I created, and you can see that I've included the colour chips beneath, and this shows exactly the type of colours that I used within the print design, and I've also included a mock-up of how that pattern would be used in context, and this is a swimwear pattern. I've also included some text, so you could include some text that's relevant to your current project or the trend you're working towards, maybe the year, or the keywords as well. So again, similar type of format. I've got my colour palette, I've got my title, and I've also got the 3 repeat patterns that we used in that collection, and then a visualisation. And again, similar format, but this one is utilising lots of different styles of print. And then again here, this one's a bit more simple, but I've isolated the painting that I created this print with, and I've also included the fashion illustration that goes with that as well, and also the colour palette. So let's go down to Pixlr.com. This is just a quick mock-up that I've put together for an example of a design layout. And if you want to look at the other video tutorials that are part of this playlist, there's other ones that support this. So I talk about how to use layering within Pixlr, how to kind of isolate your images, how to copy and paste, and how to work with colour as well. I'll zoom in a little bit. We're going to use this as a template. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go File and New Image. And I'm going to call this Design Layout 2. I'm going to set the width to the maximum, which is 4096, which will print out at a good quality at just above A4 in size. And this height is going to be 2096. I'm going to put a background on this. So let's click background, and I'm going to set it to white. And then I'm going to hit create. Can zoom out using either the zoom tool here and holding down the Alt key on my keyboard and clicking, or I can use the Control and minus key on my keyboard to zoom out if you're on a PC. If you're on a Mac, it would be Control minus. Next thing I'll do is I'm going to have a look through my elements that I'm going to include in the design layout. So let's start with the visualization. I've already got that open and I've kind of created it previously. You can look at my other videos for that. I'm going to just deselect that to start with. I'm going to go select all and edit copy. And just be aware that I've just got one layer that I'm using with this. If you've got multiple layers, you'll have to right click on one of the layers and go to these icons here, merge down, so they're all merged together. So let's copy that over. Edit copy, go to our design layout 2, edit paste, and I can just resize that, clicking and dragging in the corners. I could also choose to flip it. So if I want to flip it horizontally, you've got some of the shortcuts up here, so I can go flip horizontal, or for this one I wouldn't want to flip vertical, but that's there if you want it. And you can see I've got a few paper marks in here, so you'd need to go in and just remove those. So if I go in either with your eraser tool, or you can use your draw tool, and you can set this colour to white and just click and drag over the areas that you want to get rid of. So I've got some marks, I'm just going to neaten that up. Go back to my Arrange tool, move that over, and let's just get rid of that. And we can get rid of this one. Okay, so I want to include some images that have inspired the project. So these are just some abstract photos. So I'm going to click on my marquee select, click and drag to select a small area. I'm going to try and make this square, so I'm going to make sure that the width and the height values are the same. Click edit copy, edit paste. There we go. I can go to my move tool. If I rotate it around, I want to hold down the shift key, and that means that it will rotate in to 90 degrees. There we go. You want to include your colour chips and then also any design development images that you've been working on as well that support the final samples. So click and drag with the marquee. Let's copy that over. For this one I've got multiple layers, so I need to find where the this cluster of layers is. I've already merged that together, so it's this one I can see by the thumbnail. Edit copy, paste it in. There we go, it's a little bit big, so if I zoom out, Control minus or Command minus, move that down. You can see how I've got those in. So it's just the same process for the other elements in the design. For the photos, I've kind of selected smaller areas with the marquee tool, and I've made them larger, and that will kind of just produce a different effect. And then for this image here, I've selected a larger portion because I wanted to show the gradient of colour, how it goes from one colour to the other. Copy that over, paste it in, and I can rotate that around. Make that a bit smaller now. The only other technique that I haven't covered yet in the playlist is how to use text. But you can create a design layout using all of these same techniques I've just covered, and by also looking at the other videos in the playlist. So you can see that I've included some keywords here that are relevant to the concept of this mini design project. It's all about structure and kind of grid-like compositions, and I've also looked at kind of reflections and textures. So I've included those 3 keywords. So we'll just look at using that text tool. So if we go down to the T down here, once I click on that, I'm going to create a new layer for it by clicking on the plus symbol, then going to text. And then when I'm on the text tool here, we'll get the different options for formatting the text up here. So if I type in reflection, it's in white at the moment, so I can't see it. So I'm going to click and drag to highlight that text, and I'm going to change the colour. So I'm going to click on colour up here. And if I click on the image, or in any part of the image, it will take a colour from the image, which is really useful. So click OK, and then you can, once you've kind of finished the text, if you click in a space, it will deselect it, and then you can use your Arrange tool there just to click and drag and move that around. But you can see I've made a spelling mistake, so I just want to actually go in and edit that text. So I can do that by double clicking on the text, and that will reactivate the text box. So I'm going to delete that last letter. Click back on my Arrange tool, and I want to just rotate it around So I'm going to hold down the Shift key and then I'm going to click and drag on this little blue dot, and that will rotate it at 90-degree increments. And then because I want to keep the same formatting, I am going to duplicate this layer. So I'm going to right click on the layer and go to duplicate layer and then move that down, and then I can just double click on the text and rename it. Click back on my arrange tool and that'll take me back. Again, I'm going to right click on my layer, go to duplicate, move it down, double click, and then if I go to the text tool, that should bring up more of the formatting options for text. So you might want to actually change the font style. Let's just double click to open that up again. Click on the font style, let's change it. So we've got kind of quite a few fancy fonts in here. I suggest sticking to something like a sans serif font, something that's quite basic, normally works quite well. So I've just chosen to use Arial font. You can adjust the size here. You can really kind of play creatively with text. You might want maybe individual letters in parts of the image or parts of the layout, or you might want to keep the text the same. So you can kind of creatively play with that. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, click like and subscribe for more fashion and textile videos.